Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into some new music today, and I'm excited for this one.
Oh yeah, this is a big one. Should be interesting.
Linkin Park's back with a new album.
From Zero, dropped just last month, right?
Yeah, end of November. It's been a while since their last one, though.
2017. One More Light.
That's the one. And of course, well, this is their first album since Chester, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be different.
For sure. So much curiosity around this one. Like, where do they even go from here? Especially, with a new vocalist and everything.
Exactly. Emily Armstrong from Dead Sarah. Like, how do you even begin to step into those shoes? Big shoes to fill. Huge.
Right. And that's what we're going to dig into today. We've got a great source for this deep dive, the Dr.T show on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I've seen his stuff. He's a big Linkin Park fan.
He had a guest on too, Kara. They're both like hardcore LP fans.
Yeah.
And they get into all the big questions right away. Like, is it even possible to replace Chester?
Which is the elephant in the room, right?
Yeah. Totally. And I love how they both kind of land on this idea that it's not about replacing him at all. Kara had this great line. She said, it's more like starting a new volume for the band.
A new chapter.
Yeah, building on what came before, but also acknowledging that things have changed. Like, things are different now.
And the whole idea of a fresh start. It's right there in the album title, From Zero.
Oh, totally. Like, layers to that title.
Basically.
Yeah.
Works on, like, multiple levels.
Yeah.
I mean, on one hand, it's like a nod to their roots.
Back to Hybrid Theory.
Exactly, which was their, like, original name before they used it for their debut album. But then it also speaks to this idea of, like, starting over, rebuilding after a huge loss.
That's so true. And that vulnerability is definitely there, that sense of uncertainty, but also this, like, determination to keep going, to find a way forward. And speaking of moving forward, let's talk about the new lineup. Emily on vocals, of course, and Colin Britt on drums.
Both official members now, right?
Yep, full-fledged band members.
And Dr. T actually mentioned in his review he wasn't sure how to pronounce Colin's last name at first. Britt.
I kind of had the same thought. Like, is it Britt?
But yeah, anyway, he was saying that Britt's been a session drummer for Linkin Park for ages, so it's not like he's a complete newbie.
Right, already knows our music and say no.
It's the transition smoother.
Yeah.
He gets their vibe. But Emily, obviously, that's the biggest change. And in the review, both Dr. T and Kara admit they were pretty skeptical at first.
Oh, I bet. I mean, following Chester, that's got to be intimidating.
They even brought up all the rumors about other singers being considered, like Derek Whibley from Sum 41.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. And then there was talk about Amy Lee from Evanescence.
Interesting. Shows you the weight of expectations, though.
Yeah. And the source, they're pretty upfront about it. No one could really replace Chester. His voice was just, it was him. But then Kara talks about seeing Emily live.
Oh, yeah.
At some surprise pop-up show in L.A. And she's like totally blown away. Like went from doubter to full-on believer right there in the crowd.
I love that. The power of a live show, right? It can change your whole perspective. But in the review, they do also point out, like, some of those classic Chester songs, Crawling, for example, that kind of vocal range, it's almost impossible for a female vocalist to hit those same notes.
It's not just about hitting the notes, though, right? It's the style, too. Like men and women, their voices just work differently. Different techniques.
So it's not going to be an exact replica. And maybe that's okay. Emily's got to bring her own thing to it.
Exactly. Her own strengths.
Yeah.
Which brings us to, I think, a turning point for a lot of people. That song, The Emptiness Machine.
Okay, yeah, I want to hear about this one.
Seems like that was the track where things kind of shifted for a lot of fans, Dr. T included. It's a powerful song. Really captures that, that feeling of loss and starting over.
Kind of like mirrors the whole vibe of the album, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Emily's journey too, right? Like stepping into this role. It's all tied together.
It is. And Dr. T actually throws this question out to his viewers. He's like, if you don't like Emily, who would you have chosen? Like, who else could have even...
It's a good question. Tough one.
It is. I mean, did the Emptiness Machine do it for you? Were you convinced after hearing that one?
Honestly, I was still kind of, I don't know. I wasn't totally sold at first, but there's something about her voice in that song. It's so raw. You can feel, I don't know, it just gets to you. Gave me chills.
Yeah, she's definitely bringing something unique to it.
Yeah.
While still respecting, what Linkin Park is about.
Definitely. It's a balancing act for sure. And, well, there's another thing we should probably talk about. The elephant in the room. That whole controversy with Emily and Scientology.
Yeah, there's no avoiding that. It's been all over the Linkin Park fan forums.
Right. And Dr. T and Kara, they don't shy away from it either. They lay it all out in the review.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So apparently she was seen at Danny Masterson's hearing, right? And then there was a whole back and forth on social media about her involvement with the church.
Oh, right. I vaguely remember seeing something about that.
Yeah, and then Cedric Bixler Zavala.
Wait, from the Mars Volta?
Yeah, he even weighed in, claiming he'd seen her, like, involved with some specific group within Scientology. Something about a mom mentality group.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just rumors then. There's like actual...
That's definitely out there. But, Dr. T and Kara, they handle it well, I think. Yeah. They're very clear that they're just reporting what's been said,
Yeah, I'm not taking sides.
Exactly. Like, it's a sensitive topic, for sure. They just present the facts and let listeners make up their own minds.
Which is fair, but ultimately, like, her talent is undeniable.
Oh, absolutely. Whether you agree with her personal beliefs or not, she can sing. Now, this album, she kills it.
Okay, so let's try to set that aside for now. Back to the music itself. Dr. T and Kara both kind of agreed that the overall sound of From Zero, it's like a return to Linkin Park's roots, but with a modern edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They even make some cool comparisons to other bands, like Hayley Williams from Paramore.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I can hear that.
And even some, like, heavier bands, like Tonight Alive, just to give listeners an idea of where they're at sonically.
Right. Helps to put it in context. But it's still got that classic Linkin Park sound, those big guitars driving rhythms.
And those soaring vocals. Emily can definitely bring that.
But Dr. T actually makes a good point. He challenges his viewers to try and not, like, constantly compare Emily to Chester.
Which is hard, right?
So hard. But his point is, this is a new era, Judge it on its own merits.
It's fair. It's natural to compare.
Yeah.
Especially with a band like Linkin Park. Their legacy is so huge. But this is something new. Got to give it space to breathe.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get into some of the standout tracks. Obviously, The Emptiness Machine is a big one.
Yeah, for sure. But Dr. T and Kara, they also shout out, Cut the Bridge, Heavy is the Crown, and Two-Faced.
Okay, all solid tracks. And those are all, like, in the first half of the album, right? The first few songs.
They are. It's interesting, right?
Is that, like, a deliberate thing? Like, why?
Totally deliberate. It's like album sequencing strategy. Those early tracks, those are your hooks.
Oh, I see. To grab the listener's attention right away.
Exactly. Make a strong first impression. And in this case, I think it's Mike Shinoda who's really, steering the ship since Chester's passing. He's carefully chosen those tracks to showcase where they're at now.
Like, this is the new Linkin Park.
Exactly. And Dr. T, he gives the album like a 7 out of 10 overall.
Solid score.
Yeah. But he does say, like, it might not reach those classic Linkin Park heights.
Yeah.
Yet. That yet is important.
Ooh, I like that. Leaving room for growth.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning, right?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where they go from here.
For sure. There's so much potential. It's like they're still finding their footing, but also pushing boundaries. It's exciting.
It is. It's not a perfect album, but it's a statement. It shows their resilience, their willingness to experiment.
Totally agree. And even after this deep dive, I feel like we've only scratched the surface. From Zero is an album that you got to listen to multiple times. Discover something new each time. It's an emotional album, too. You can tell they really, poured their hearts into it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that makes it even more interesting to see what they do next, right?
Absolutely. Like, where do they go from here? What's next for Linkin Park? It's like we're witnessing a band at a crossroads.
Totally. Navigating uncharted territory. And they're bringing us along for the ride.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool about this deep dive, It's not just about one album. It's about a band's evolution happening right in front of us.
That's such a great way to put it. This is a new era for Linkin Park. And From Zero is like their statement, a statement of resilience.
Of rebirth. Of, like, finding a way forward even after a huge loss. It's powerful stuff.
It really is. And it makes you realize, like, how art can be healing, even transformative.
100%. It's a testament to their spirit, and their dedication to their music.
Okay, but now I got to ask you, and everyone listening, same question Dr. T asked at the end of his review. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, no single song on From Zero reaches, like, best hit status yet. Do you agree with that?
That's a tough one.
Right.
There's so many good tracks. I mean, The Emptiness Machine, obviously, it's a strong contender. But I also think Heavy is the Crown has that, like, anthemic quality. The kind of song that could stick around for years.
Okay, see, I actually disagree with you on that one. Don't get me wrong, Heavy is the Crown. It's a great song. But for me, Cut the Bridge is the one that really, like, captures that classic Linkin Park energy. It's got that raw power, hooks you right away.
I see your point. And that's what's so great about this album, right? It sparks debate. Makes you think, Everyone's going to have their own favorites.
Exactly. There's no right or wrong answer. It's all about like what connects with you personally.
It's subjective. And that's the beauty of music, right?
Totally. This album makes you think critically, engage with it on a deeper level, form your own opinions.
It's not passive listening. You're like part of the conversation.
Exactly. So whether you're a diehard Linkin Park fan or you're just discovering them now, I encourage you to check out From Zero and share your thoughts. What are your favorite tracks? Where do you think this album fits into their legacy? Let's keep this conversation going. This deep dive has been amazing, but it's just the start.
Yeah, Linkin Park's journey is far from over. And I'm excited to see what's next for them and for this new era of their music.